So, because I've not really had a chance
Next
to...
generation fully automatic espresso machine.
So, because I've not really had a chance... Ooh! There's filters! Why don't I know those filters? Okay, stop playing. So, yeah. I've not had a chance to make any videos, so I thought I'd do a live stream and we can go over the video I was going to make. There is a schedule for this live stream. It's not going to be as open as it should be. But I kind of need to stick to something. So yeah. This video is, this live stream is best tips for revising English GCSE. So we'll be looking at what the best tips for revising language and the best tips for revising literature. As you can see from the fact that I get very easily distracted and stutter quite a lot, this is why I don't have time to film. So we'll start with English language, the best tips. So I do have notes. There's 4 tips. First one, timings. So knowing the timing and how long you should spend on each question. Generally, the way everyone does it is that you should do a mark a minute. So if you spend 1 minute on for each mark that is available. That way you won't go over the number of minutes that you're allowed. You do have a time limit. There is only 1 hour and 45 minutes. For whatever exam board you do. So yeah, so a mark a minute is normally what is suggested. And approximately about 15 minutes for reading. So that is what you should know. So you should always know, for example, say we're doing AQA language paper 1. Question 1, 4 marks, therefore you should only spend 4 minutes. Question 2, 8 marks, you should only spend 8 minutes. Question 3, 8 marks, again 8 minutes. Question 4, 20 marks, so 20 minutes. And question 5, 40 marks, so 40 to 45 minutes. If you follow those and it's a mark a minute, in theory you should have, depending on how long you spend on question 5, it's 40 or 45, then you should have 15 or 20 minutes left. And those 15 and 20 minutes should be used to read the extract or extracts. So the first tip for me, timings. Make sure you know your timings. Second thing to know is the order of questions. So this is a bit controversial because I know a lot of teachers teach that you should start at question 1 and move on to move all the way down till you get to question 5. I generally teach that you start at reading the extracts. So you read either the single extract or both extracts. Then you go to question 5. Even though you technically don't need to read to get to question 5, reading the extracts will always give you ideas. So then go to question 5, it's worth the most number of marks, so spend the first chunk of your exam on question 5. Then it will depend on which paper. So for paper 1, I recommend you do 1, 2, 4 and 3. The reason I say 1, 2, 4 and 3 is because 1 is the 4 marker, everyone gets that really easily. Nice little confidence boost. Question 2 is only 8 marks, so it won't take you too long. Question 4 is worth 20 marks, so it's a whole 25% of the paper, so you should spend time on that. And question 3, it's a bit more difficult, but theoretically, if you've done 1, 2 and 4, you would have read the whole of the extract. So by the time you get to question 3, you would have read everything and at the beginning, so twice you've gone through it now. So you should be able to do it a bit better. So, and for paper 2, again, read the extracts. 5, 1, 3, 4 and 2. 1, again, because it's true or false, you're just picking 4 true statements from the 8 given to you. Number 3, because you're only looking at one source. And so that makes it easier. So yeah, so question 1 is one source, question 3 is one source. Question 4 is 2 sources, same as question 2, but question 4 is 16 marks and question 2 is 8. I feel like I'm mumbling a bit, rambling anyway. But yeah, So the order of questions is the second thing. Number 3, terminology. So when revising for English language, knowing the correct terminology and using them correctly is the most important thing. So revise all of the correct terms, how to recognize them and how to use them. And don't ignore the basics like nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs. Those are important as well as different sentence forms, compact, complex, embedded. Knowing the different sentence forms, being able to use them and being able to recognize them is important. And finally, the fourth one for language is vocabulary. So this might seem like a no-brainer. A lot of people do ask me about vocabulary, but using advanced vocabulary is what will differentiate you from others. Also, the best way to revise it, which I've been asked, is again, make a word bank. Once you have a word bank, you practice the words, you practice how to spell them, you practice what they mean, and successfully using them in your work. So whether it's in school, at home, with a private tutor, anyway, practice it, use it, and be confident. But yeah, so those are the 4 tips for revising English language. Now, English literature gets a little bit more complicated because every school does different texts and they do different novels, different plays. So it's hard, and especially with the change in this year, I don't know, let's get distracted. So yeah, so literature is a little bit different, but again, there are certain things that you need to know for every text. First thing, context. No matter what text you do, poetry, play, novel, if you know the context and know the background, you will understand the text a lot easier, which means you will be able to do better in the exam. Once you're confident in the text, once you know what they're talking about, then you're more likely to be able to be successful. So that's the first thing. The second thing is themes. Revise your text by themes. I know a lot of times you can do it by chapter or you can do it by character, but if you do it by themes, what you do is you find quotes by themes, and for each quote you find for the theme, you write the character, the chapter or act and scene if it's a play, and the page number. And that way you'll get familiar where things are. So you might know this wonderful quote, but you may not remember where it's from, and so that way you forget some of the context as well of what's happened previously and what's going to happen next. So do it by themes instead. Chapters. When rereading the text, do so by chapter or act. Don't try to reread the whole thing in one go, because what will happen is you'll get distracted, you'll get lost, or you'll forget. If you do it chapter by chapter or scene by scene, and you do it in smaller bite size, then you're more likely to remember more and notice more things. Like you'll notice a few details, you might pick up a different quote, one of the more obscure quotes that people won't have, so then your text and your work will be a bit different because it'll be something that the other people won't have. Because let's be honest, a lot of people tend to have the same quotes when it comes to exams. So having the different quotes and having something a bit more varied is gonna make you stand out. And flashcards. So I recommend flashcards. I think they are the best way to revise literature, mainly because you can very easily divide things into smaller groups. So like I said, if you do it by theme, if you do it by character, if you do it by chapter, if you have it on your flashcards, then it's easier for you to find. But remember, don't write too much on your flashcards. They're there as just quick, brief notes. If you end up writing a lot on it, you may as well have written an essay. It's there just to help you revise. It's something that you can look at quickly, memorize, and put it into your head. Now, both language and literature, it's going to be a bit difficult for you to revise very easily because there's so much you need to know, and the main thing is being able to write essays. So the best way for both of them to successfully revise it is to practice writing essays. Whether you find the questions online, whether you get your teacher to set them, whether you just want to make up your own questions, practicing writing the essays and successfully putting it into a coherent format with introduction, paragraphs, conclusions, quotes, that is the best way to revise it all. But yeah, I kind of went through that a lot quicker than I realised I was going to do. But yeah, so for language and for literature, the four main points for each one, which were for language, it was timings, order of questions, terminology and vocabulary. And for literature, the best way to revise is context, themes, reading chapter by chapter, and flashcards. And practice writing for both of them. There is really no need for you to not be practicing how to write an essay and being comfortable in it. But yeah, didn't think it was going to be that quick. Are there any questions? Yeah, didn't think so. But yeah, I was planning to make this so it's very similar to a video, so it's not too long, so if people want to watch it again in the future, then they can. It's not going to be something that's long and rambling. But yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And I will see you guys next time. I will promise to post a video. I've just been a little bit busy. And yeah, see you next time.